Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT Rostermania. As the confirmations are about to come through, we expect for NRG and the other teams, especially in the North American side. Marved has revealed that out of all the offers he did have on the table and decided to decline, he would not have chosen to go to Sentinels, but would instead have tried to reform as much as possible the OpTic team from last season. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thanks very much indeed for doing that one. Funny one here I thought from Sentinels actually, with the turret outside the kind of the door for Halloween last night. Definitely a scary sign for some of the exit guys that they now have as part of their roster. Of course, Dephh and zyppan, part of that exit team that had the whole turret drum at the World Championship up against FPX, of course, that you guys probably do remember, and Hiko, I'm sure, also remembers it very well as the coach of their team. But yeah, gotta replay Halloween, I think, is the plan after this one, most certainly. Quick note as well, because we saw yesterday that Disguised Toast might be interested in signing a tier 2 roster and thinking of starting a team. He says this has gained a lot of traction, and not just from some pros but also from certain coaches and analysts. Here Josh Lee says make sure you get a coach as well and an analyst as Weltis Games. He was briefly Weltis the analyst for Sentinels at the end of last season, so everyone is hitting up Toast right now to try and get him to start a tier 2 squad. And that is one of the big questions that remains in this off season, is which organizations are even going to get involved in tier 2, and of the ones that do, what players are they going to sign? Will Marved go for the tier 2 option? Will he just sit back there? Because I think Marved, and we'll see it in a second, is in quite an interesting spot where, he's not going to play tier 1 this season. He declined opportunities. He's still got that name value, to which point if he wants to return in a year or so to tier 1, the offers probably will be there. But if he's not playing tier 2 and proving himself, then, will teams look past Marved and say, you know what, do you suit the current meta? That's the difficulty that he's going to run into. So maybe, he needs to step into tier 2 and play that even on from time to time, but then that doesn't really align with his intention of stepping away and focusing on family. So it's a bit of a tricky situation, I think, for pros like Marved that are going to step away a little bit. But I still think he's easily talented enough and has the history to return to tier 1 effectively when he wants to. But you can never really guarantee the offers will be around. Quick note as well on the APAC side, just because Talent Esports and others have been talking to Deserto about the drama that's gone on really in the APAC region. There's been talks about players or teams trying to screw over their players with certain contracts because the agents aren't quite as kind of efficient or proficient maybe out there in the Asia Pacific region as they might be in other regions. So that's a concern that needs to be considered. And even this actually I thought was cool, just to look at the entire rosters of all these teams. So in the VCT Pacific, the rosters have now pretty much all been put together. Some of these teams have made some serious changes, right? The RRQ team of some of the players they had and the changes that they had to make because of supporting their own region and all this drama that happened behind the scenes over there. And of course you can see the global esports team with many different players, DRX, Detonation Gaming, Gen.G, etc, etc. And this is the T1 team, of course, with all those former guys. That is one of the most exciting, in my opinion, going into next season. So these are all the rosters that have been pretty much confirmed now in, at least in this region, but in North America and Europe, it's been far from confirmed as yet. Plenty of the teams have not yet had official announcements, one of which, of course, including Liquid, that we believe Nats is going to. We saw the contract signed yesterday. We can expect over the coming days, Liquid, Fnatic, these teams to confirm. One of the other teams, though, that I expected to confirm a long time ago was NRG, and yet we still don't have any confirmation there. Marved was streaming last night saying some interesting things about which offers he was considering and which one he would have taken. He had offers certainly from Sentinels. We saw that in the early days, that he was effectively their number 1 target. They wanted Marved because they thought he was going to be the perfect guy in that role. Then Hiko spoke to Marved and he was like, you know what, not really sure if I want to compete this season. He wasn't 100% sure. Marved at the time was considering taking a break for family reasons and stuff like this, as of course he now is going to do, and therefore Sentinel said, you know what, okay, let's go down this Sassy Pancada route. That's what we want to do instead. The other option was NRG, and this is a big surprise really when the initial rumors were circulating that the NRG roster was going to sign FNS, Victor, Crashies and coach Chet, but no Marved. Where was Marved? And then the implication was that, okay, he must be going to Sentinels. That's the only realistic option. Turns out that obviously it was his own decision, that Zombs then revealed on stream before Marved has now officially confirmed that. But Marved has also said on stream last night that, if he had to choose between those two teams, he would have gone for the NRG offer. He would have declined Sentinels and would have gone for the NRG team alongside his former teammates, probably still minus Ye, because it seemed incredibly unlikely that they'd have been able to get the entire team of 5 over to NRG with Ye included, because the buyouts were just so immense. Ye would have gone to Cloud9 anyway. They'd have probably still got Artis in, but minus Som plus Marved could have been an option there.
How about APAC teams? I don't know who the APAC teams are, I ain't gonna lie. Marv was so close to happening. Honestly, chat. So out of all my offers, I feel like I would have taken the one with my boys. Can't sneak the boys, chat. Do you sneak the boys or what? Gotta sneak the boys for that bag. I would have got the bag either way. I could have played wherever I want. I mean, I could have got the bag anywhere I went.
We have Curry. Is Curry on TSM?
I have no idea. I think so, right?
I thought I was on that. Maybe not then, because they told me a different roster.
We're trying out right now. We're screaming. Why not screaming right now?
Oh, what? Did I get cut? Wait, I actually just got cut live.
Besides,
I know, we're gonna make a team. Wait, do we actually have Tex? I'm on a team with him.
are you?
Yeah, we made a scrim team yesterday.
You, Dicey, Tex, and
No, it's me, Tex, Stewie, Brax, and Raucus. But we were waiting to get approved for like the prac.com so we can scrim. Wait, how does he know it? My new teammate.
Is that him?
The other thing to just say quickly on that whole Marved situation is that, well, look, if Marved was to go to that team even now, like, would Som be the one to stay, or, you know, what would the situation be there? Because, you know, arguably Som could be in a different role. Like, could you put Som in Victor's role, and then, you know, Marved still steps into the smokes? It's an interesting question, of course, not one that's so relevant now, because Marved has indeed decided to step away, and Som will still be there as NRG's main man. But I'm, you know, crazy to think how close it was to actually still having pretty much the entirety of the OpTic team in one piece. Okay, there wouldn't have been Ye there. Probably Artis would still have been the man instead. But, you know, still, it's interesting how close that could have been to happening if Marved hasn't made the decision that, of course, he actually has made at the end of the day. Now, I wanted to shout out Zach like that actually here on Reddit because he put together what was a pretty funny kind of, well, Zombs cosplay, obviously, for Halloween with all the watches on the wrist and this type of stuff. Now, speaking of Zombs, we, of course, mentioned him in that kind of final piece of the clip there where he talked about the possibility of his future in Tier 2. I think to a large degree, he's joking around here about the TSM thing, but TSM have been trialing all sorts of players. I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if Zombs actually has either had a trial for TSM or that's one of the organizations he's considering, because many players, you know, ShahZaM, Zombs, dapr, these guys, they want to get a spot somewhere, and if it's not going to be Tier 1 with EG, then it's going to have to be one of these Tier 2 teams. There are a few offers, of course, there are a few options, of course, is what I meant to say, but the thing is that FaZe and the Guard and Shopify Rebellion are largely going to keep a large percentage of their previous year's roster. TSM are going to do a big rebuild. We can see here Nismo has had many trials, so has EU, BCJ, Subrosa could stay, Corey or Rossi, probably one of them stays, as with GMD will probably stay, and then Seven or Koala Noob. So there's definitely many options here that TSM are considering right now, and it's far from guaranteed what they will decide to do. And then, of course, G2, they've brought in a coach, we believe, to build a new roster from the ground up. Then Xset might build a new team as well, because, of course, they failed it to make it into Tier 1. So, yeah, does Zombs have a point there? Is he, you know, joking around about TSM, or have any trials along the TSM lines actually happen there, and he might be considering becoming TSM Zombs and bringing ShahZaM along with him? I'm sure that'd be a fun time. The other player to mention here actually on these lines is none other than Shroud, right? Because Shroud is in this spot where I'm not really sure what he's planning to do. If you guys have been watching Shroud stream the last few days, you might have a better idea, but he's playing some Overwatch 2 here, sees this flash come through, or what he thinks is a flash, and it turns out he thought it was a breach flash, because he's played a lot of Valorant, and as he says, still thinking about kind of talking about Valorant, I suppose. So yeah, what's going to happen with Shroud? Because obviously I think he made it clear that he wants to compete still in Valorant, but if he's not going to get a Tier 1 spot, as I think was never really going to happen anyway, then he's going to have to go in Tier 2. Does that mean build his own team from the ground up? Does that mean join another team, like Shroud's in a similar boat to all these other former Sentinels guys that I have just mentioned there? And just to say this, because we saw the other day that these scrims were going down, Nismo, John QT, you know, Koala Noob and Co, teaming on what seemingly is a TSM TSM kind of trial, but actually Flynn says here that a single scrim is nothing. Teams try out dozens of players. What matters and what he puts on the spreadsheet that we just looked at is whether the team has, or whether the player has multiple trials with that particular team. So for now, there's no Zombs on that list, there's no dapr for EG on that list, so we expect that either those trials have not happened or they've been relatively few and far between in terms of their number, but it does not necessarily mean you can completely rule them out. Quick comment here from Som, actually, because we talked about Marved and Som and NRG and this type of stuff. What do you guys think about this take? Remove Breeze, add Split. I think many want to see Split back. Like, I think when they do add Split back, there will, I imagine, be some changes. Like, I think it's not the best map in the world, in my opinion, Split. It's a good map, though. It creates some epic moments from a competitive perspective, and it's definitely better, I think, than some of the maps in the game. I would say that certainly Bind, I think Split is better than Breeze. I don't mind personally, but I don't think it's great. And Som reckons that, yeah, get rid of Breeze, bring Split back. I think Fracture with the new change especially is pretty good. So I like Fracture. I like the innovation that they came up with Fracture in the way that the map is designed. So I think Fracture's fine. To me, it's between, yeah, Bind and Breeze what I would get rid of. I'd probably get rid of Bind personally, but yeah, Som reckons get rid of Breeze, add Split back in. Whether they do that for the start of the season, I think I would be very surprised if Split isn't back for next season's competition. I think it for sure probably will be. But if they do that, what map are they going to remove? Is it going to be Pearl, right? It's a possibility that Pearl just coming into the map set could be gone and just bring Split back in its place, or is Breeze the worst map of the three, as Som is just discussing here? Before we look at this play, actually, just wanted to say this, because obviously the CS Major has just begun in Brazil. The crowd has been absolutely out of control, and it's not going to be that long at all until Valorant is in Sao Paulo for the first event in February. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new as always, take care, and I'll see you next time.